Critical gaps or knowledge gaps that you see in a lot of project management trainings. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to become successful project managers there. How I do that in practice? Well, I provide training, one-on-one mentoring, consulting for companies, everything that if you want to improve your project management skills to achieve a top performance or to deliver better results for your organization, I'm here to support you. Also, just a reminder that this content here is part of the warm-up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit, it's a free event I'm going to make to show you, to showcase, to explain to you the Project Management Master Journey. That's what you can see in the screen right now, but also to give you additional insights how to develop your project management skills. It's going to be 3 classes, and in the end, also you get a free certificate there. Everything is free. Only thing you need to do is click in the link here and subscribe. So let's talk about gaps in general project management trainings. And of course, in a lot of those things, I'm going to refer to the journey because it makes sense when you talk about. When you look for developing your project management skills, what is the very traditional type of project management training that you're going to hear talking about? So a lot of times when people they are looking to develop their project management skills there, they are going to look on trainings or certifications, by the way, but general they are going to look on planning trainings. They are going to look on trainings on general project management, if you want to call like that. They are going to look for trainings on Scrum, or they're going to look for trainings on Agile, or Agile, it's an umbrella term, but it can be other stuff. They're going to look on trainings on Kanban. They are going to look there for example, for certifications. So like, let me talk about the project management professional. That's probably the most known and the most important project management certification around the world. They are going to look for other types of certification like Prince2, Scrum Master, SAFe, or so on. What's the challenge with those trainings? And not first, when I'm talking about the challenge of those trainings, but if you select, of course, a good training, that's good that you are going to learn project management. But all those trainings here, they are going to tend to focus a lot on things like how to organize a WBS. If you don't know WBS, it's a work breakdown structures. How to create a timeline, for example. Those are part of any good how to make estimations, how to do risk management, what's a risk management process, for example. All those things here, they are part of, for example, a good planning training. I do have planning trainings, by the way, so nothing against of that. If you select a good project management training, that should help you. The challenge with that more or less in general, a good project management training or a traditional project management training will help you up to level 5 or 6, but not more than that. There can be reasons for that. One of them is because the project management knowledge, what I'm talking about project management knowledge again, scope management, time management, how to do estimations, risk management, stakeholder management, what's the process to understand for stakeholder management. All those things, they're important and you need to know that, but they're only the first step to develop your journey. So in the best case, those things can get up you up to level 5 or 6. That means that you're going to be a project management practitioner there. However, those things they are not going to help you to really to those things by themselves, let me rephrase that, they're not going to help you to succeed as a project manager, or they're not going to help you to make you to a consistent performer or to leave to put you in as a top achiever. Because first, you need to understand those knowledge, but also you need to go to the next steps to understand how you apply that in practice. For example, a lot of times you see, let me put an example, very simple, critical path. Critical path, all project managers needs to understand the concept, what's a critical path. If you don't know it, what's a critical path? Basically, is the longest chain of tasks that are going to determine the duration of your project. So let's say that you are building a house, making something very simple here. So you have the design of the foundation, then you need to do the foundation of the house, then you do the infrastructure of the house, then you do the roof of the house, and then you do the finishing of the house. And you have other activities like you can have the gardening part, you have the pool, or you have the wall of the house or the fence of the house and blah blah blah. But this is what I'm marking here. That would be the critical path, that because that would be the longest chain that would define the project duration. The concept is straightforward and most of people understand it, but most of people struggle how to implement how to use the critical path in practice. For example, the critical path is one of the key criteria to use in decision making and prioritization process there. So a lot of people, they say, okay, I understand what's a critical path, but when they talk about decision making and prioritization, they do not make the connection. Other very important knowledge that people miss in general project management training. And I've been working with project management for more than 15 years. So, and I've been doing a lot of project management training all over the world. And I've never found in any project management training they talk about, for example, finance. Finance is a very important hard skill that you need to have. And I do training every time, and a lot of times people say, why finance? Because a lot of projects, they are driven by business cases. So the company creates a project because they expect a value. Sometimes it's selling a product, selling a service, or creating a new house, or delivering some type of service for the customer. And all those things, they have a business case. If you do not understand finance, you're not going to understand a business case. Let's say that you don't have a business case. Well, whatever project that you're going to deal with, you have a budget. You need to create a budget for the project, usually to get approval for the project. You need to track this budget for the project. If you don't understand finance, you do not understand how to manage the budget there. And you're not going to see, and not even talking about company general financial KPIs, sales, gross margin, EBIT, earnings before interests and taxes, or you can go EBITDA, earnings before interest and taxes, amortization and depreciation. All those things that are important for you to understand the scenario of the company that you are working there. So this is quite critical to see what you're doing there. So to move from one step to other in the project management journey, it's not only about saying, oh, I know waterfall. I understand the principles in the PMBOK. PMBOK, for if you don't know, it's the project management body of knowledge. The last update, there's quite a lot of changes there from the 6th to the 7th edition. The 6th edition was a process based, meaning you have the 10 knowledge areas there. And then you had a process where to follow to structure a project. Now they changed this to a principle view. So you follow principles like leadership, teamwork, value delivery to deliver a project there. And those principles can be used in general in any case. Of course, you need to understand the PMBOK principles there because those they are going to be in any type of project. But how far those trainings go, they talk about you need leadership, which is very important. How you develop leadership. Sometimes you see some trainings talking about emotional intelligence, but rarely you're going to see a project management training even going deep on emotional intelligence. Or for example, you're dealing a project where it involves changes into organization. For example, one of trainings that I did and one of the certifications that I have is like Kanban coaching professional there. When you look for the Kanban model, they are going to think about the model regarding the value that you get, but also values that you need to execute a project. So you talk about a lot of change management, organization, behavior, and so on. But how they approach that is they talk about models in general, but sometimes they do not talk about how you apply the model for your specific area. So one simple example, you're going to hear a lot if you're talking about feedback, that feedback is good. Do you have a model to request feedback or to give feedback? That's a very simple step. But usually you're not going to get those things in the project management training. So that's a challenge that you have, because although there it's important knowledge. So if I would put in a graph there, you are going to see there, if I mark here different skills that you need to succeed as a project management, from PM knowledge, from finance, from leadership. If you compare with different trainings, you're going to find here, and again, if you're selecting a good project management training, right? Don't come tell me that you are going to do a 10-hour training on Coursera where you're going to have barely any interaction, that people are going to teach you some theory and you cannot even ask questions. Then, and again, nothing against Coursera training, there are some good ones there, but there are a lot of stuff, and I've done those trainings, that's how I know it, that they are going just to talk about PMBOK is this. Okay, how you connect this with practice, how you connect this to create a bigger view there. So you're going to have those type of knowledge here. So this is in the training, this is in the training, but when you talk about finance, so this is a gap. Sometimes leadership is going to be a gap, so let me drawing something better here. So PM knowledge, PM general knowledge, finance general knowledge, then you get leadership, then you get teamwork, then you get productivity. All those things I say, oh, okay, this you have it. Finance, you barely have it in most of one. Leadership, you might have some level of that. Teamwork, you might not have something. Productivity, you don't get anything. So a lot of people, they are stuck focusing only on PM trainings and highlighting again, those are important, but they are not enough to move through the journey. What you are going to need to move the steps for the journey? You need to start to develop your emotional intelligence, your leadership skills, understand how you're going to collect feedback, understand how you're going to organize your routine, how you're going to work with your mindset, how you're going to set up your goals. Those are the things that are going to develop you in the journey. A lot of people tend to focus a lot on those trainings and then certifications. What is, first of all, certifications are good? Of course. They are must have. No. If you look for the project management population working with project management around the world, there from data from PMI shows that's around, I think, 95 million people working with project management around the world, more or less. From those 95 million people, around, I don't know, 1.7 million have certification from PMI. If you take another one, around 1 million Prince 2, and the other certification are less. But let's say if you are going to add up to this for 3 million, the percentage that you have there from the total population, it's very small. So certifications, they are good, maybe to help you to showcase your CV, to get to an interview, but they are not going to help you to deliver a project. If you do it right, of course, you acquire some important project management knowledge there that helps you to progress. But what moves you from the level 5 to the level 7, it's not a certification. It's not only a PM training there. You need to understand how to take the PM knowledge and how to apply this in practice. So the gaps that you are going to see there, they are important. So I can give you even an agenda for a training. Say you need to understand scope management, you need to understand time management, you need to understand cost management. In here, the level that they talk on the cost management might be a challenge. But then you need to understand stakeholder management, communication, procurement. You also need to understand risk management, or together with your communication or with your stakeholders, you can combine this, for example, with resource management here. All those things, they are going to be required, but those things, they're only part of what you need to progress there. So it's quite important that you understand that. So what I'm trying, and that's why I designed this journey here, and that's what I'm going to go deeper into the project management summit, to talk about more than only, oops, I excluded, more than only those things here. Because in the end of the day, even if you have those things that are mainly hard skills, not that first, it's not only those hard skills, and then you also need to make sure that you're developing your soft skills. Because in the end, for example, you're going to have conflict. How you do conflict management? To do conflict management, you're going to need to have the right mindset and the right emotional intelligence. Why? Because if you do not have the right mindset and emotional intelligence there, instead of managing the conflict and solving the conflict, you're going to escalate the conflict. Why? Because simply because you're going to get heated, you might get nervous, you might get anxious, you might get annoyed, you might get angry, and you might say stuff that, or you're going to let your ego to block the progress what you need there. If you're going to get for a problem solving situation, your mindset, your emotional intelligence will be critical. Why? Because instead of working the problem and the project, a lot of times people start to look who they should blame for the problem, which in the end is not going to help you or your team. And those are critical again to help you to progress. And I've mentioned in other classes and in other type of contents, the hard skills, they're easier to develop there, but the soft skills in the end they are going to be critical from what you have there. And the soft skills they are going to take much more effort from your side, and that's why of course they are much more challenging. But in the end, if you don't have even the hard skills, then yeah, only your soft skills they are not going to be much for you. They are not going to provide much for you. So keep in mind while you're selecting a project management training, it's important. It's if you do it in the right way, you're going to build foundational knowledge there. But it's very important that you build the foundational knowledge. You understand how to apply it because if you start to understand how to apply it, that's one step that you need to move from level 6 to level 7, for example, from being in a project management plateau to start to perform with consistency there. But those are not the only things. So critical for you to understand while you're comparing project management trainings there or project management development programs there. If you only have the general hard skills there, be aware that only doing those trainings or only pursuing certifications, it will not help you to make this step. Of course, you need also guidance. If you get a program where you can get some guidance there, this is quite important. What do I mean by guidance? Asking questions. Saying, I have a knowledge here I do not understand. Because what happens quite often when you are working or when you are doing a training, you see the trainer there, and if it's a good trainer, you say, okay, got it, I understand it, I learned something, which is good. But sometimes when you are going to apply in practice, you struggle. Or maybe you do the training and 2 months later you need to apply it, but 2 months later you already forgot part of what was explained there, and then you don't get a way to ask those questions. So this is quite important for you to have support in what you're going to do there. Of course, asking questions, it's always important, and this goes back to your mindset because if you have a challenge but you don't want to ask the questions, so you're going to struggle with that. And even sometimes, and why I'm saying that, because in a lot of trainings that I do, sometimes I get feedback on the anonymous survey that I run in the end. Say, okay, what do you think I can improve in the training? What do you think I can better? And for example, one of the things that pop up from time to time, finance. Say, oh, I did not understand the finance session there. And from a lot of those trainings, I do it live, so they do not have the recording to watch it later on. So if we are in a live class there talking about finance and you do not understand and you go back to ask say that on the survey, there's nothing much I can do for you because the survey is anonymous, so even if I want I cannot provide you additional information there. So it's quite important that you have the mindset even from start from zero to here, because the right mindset will help you to progress fast. The wrong mindset, this curve, if you have the wrong mindset, basically this curve, you're going to stay here. And you can stay here for years and years and years. And believe me, I've seen that. Or not, maybe not here, but kind of here. Or depending what you are doing here on the plateau. So the mindset, it's also enabling you to move from level to another in a faster way. If you do not have the right mindset, then you are going to struggle. So what I want to you to understand in this video here, what are the, let me wrap up with the key takeaways for you here. First, project management trainings are good. The hard skills that you get there, the foundational knowledge that are good that you get there, but they're not enough to make sure that you can progress to have a successful project management journey to be a top achiever there. You're going to need different skills that you don't see in the project management trainings there. I've mentioned a few like finance, productivity, how you're going to manage your time, leadership, teamwork, conflict management, problem solving, all those type of things that are going to be critical to make sure that you can progress to one level to another. Also, it's critical when you are looking for a project management training is that you understand that on the top of the knowledge that you get there, you need to be able to ask questions after the training because in the end, usually you're not going to apply it right away. Even if you try to do it a couple of weeks later, you might get questions, and that it's handy to have someone to support you there. So it's also something important for you to focus there. And underlying everything, you need to make sure that you enter those trainings with the right mindset. And that's also why this is one of the things I'm going to discuss in the project management summit there. Again, this is, don't forget to like and share this video here so it can reach more people and more people can learn project management. You also help me to understand the value for the content I'm creating that for you. And make sure you subscribe for the Project Management Summit. That's a free event I'm going to make to help you to further develop your project management skills. Thank you and see you soon.